It's a delight to be here with you. And I'm actually excited to hopefully bring some more discussion around the whole debate and technology around mobile commerce and so forth. So, as Elliot mentioned, I'm currently serving as the president and CTO of Rakuten.com Shopping. And I've been doing that for the last year. Prior to that, as you'd mentioned, I was CIO for 6 years, and I started with Buy.com back in 1998. And it's interesting because preparing for this talk, it makes you reflect a little bit. And so one of the things I was remembering back in 1998, I did a deal with Phone.com, and we had these, WAP phones at the time, and we were all so super excited about, the emergence of mobile commerce on a phone, and these interfaces were incredibly primitive at the time. Yet we had such high expectations for the result, and so. I was based down in Aliso Viejo, and the local Orange County Register came in and did a photo shoot and put us on the front of the business section. But we've come a long way, but we're still emerging, and these are still the early days. So just on a personal note, I'm an avid master swimmer. I actually swam as a kid and also played men's water polo at the nationally ranked team at the University of California, Irvine. And still love to do it. In fact, I aged up this year in June. I turned 50, and so I went down to Huntington Beach, where I grew up, and last Saturday, and hopped in the ocean, and water was warm, the waves were a little bit on the bigger side, and swam the pier, took second in my age group. So I was pretty happy about that. Still have that with me. And the younger guys, I was in the 32 and up bracket and took 8th overall. So those younger guys, I gave them a good run for their money. So anyway, let me just mention a little bit more about Rakuten and Buy. Buy started in '97, and I think many of you know this already. And our legacy is as a consumer electronics reseller, and we've been historically known as a deal site. In 2010, Buy was purchased by Rakuten, a Japanese e-commerce services company. And in January of this year, at the end of January, we've been slowly incorporating more of the Rakuten philosophy in commerce to our website. And in January, we officially rebranded our site to Rakuten.com Shopping. So some of you might be asking, who is Rakuten? So let me explain this. One thing to keep in mind is that Rakuten.com Shopping, or formerly Buy.com, is just one of many marketplaces across the globe for Rakuten. So they've got locations in the Americas, over in Europe, and of course, the biggest area is Asia. So size-wise, Rakuten is the 3rd largest e-commerce company by sales, over 90 million SKUs and over 40,000 merchants selling in our marketplace. And e-commerce is not our only business. Really, we're an internet services company, and we have business in e-reading. We have a travel site. We have a banking and securities business. We have credit card and electronic payment business. We even have a professional baseball team. So with this long view of e-commerce, as well as internet interest in the entire customer experience ecosystem, Rakuten brings an interesting perspective to what e-commerce should be and what a good, great website and experience should be. And at the root of Rakuten is this principle of, and some of you might be saying, well, what's going to differentiate Rakuten as we come across the globe? And the key factor is this concept of omotenashi, which is the Japanese word that means the Japanese service mindset. And so we're trying to bring the Japanese service mindset to the US on Rakuten.com shopping. So in addition to Rakuten.com shopping, Rakuten has made investments in a number of companies, from video to ebooks to flash sales and social shopping. Rakuten has invested or outright purchased all of these companies on this slide. And the common thread here is we're trying to bring a more human touch and a human feeling to an online shopping experience. So we sometimes refer to it as a living e-commerce experience. So on to my talk, priorities and imperatives for an enterprise mobile commerce investment. So I hope I can add some more information to the debate and discussion around this. And I'm going to share some details too about our Japanese marketplace, our Ichiba, that I think you might find interesting as we go forward in the presentation. But what do we mean by mobile commerce? The depth of m-commerce today is vast. From mobile websites to mobile apps, consumers have a host of ways, as you know, to pay for goods and services via their mobile device, whether that's a smartphone or a tablet. So just some stats, and I think I just want to reiterate some of these, and it shouldn't come as a surprise to you, but there's been, there's this whole discussion about when is it really going to emerge and take off, and I think it's actually already happened, right? So if you're thinking that it's still in the future, I think you might be missing some of the signs. So I want to share some of those with you. But so according to IDC Smart Connected Device Tracker, March 2013, worldwide shipments of smart connected devices grew at 29% year over year in 2012, crossing 1 billion units shipped. The expansion was largely driven by a 78% year-over-year growth in tablet shipments, which surpassed 128 million. So looking ahead into 2013, the forecast is that tablet shipments will surpass desktop PC in 2013 and laptops in 2014. So we're in this is a major shift going on. So when I got out of school, or when I was in school, we had these things called mainframes. And I'm a computer science undergraduate, so I studied software engineering. And so we had these things called mainframes. And this is, 1981, 82, mid-80s. And these smaller mainframes, mid-ranges, were also, growing in popularity and so forth. And the timeshare of large computers was kind of going away, and people were buying more and more computers because they become affordable. But then all of a sudden came along this PC thing, and it changed everything. Okay, it changed everything. And here we are, 30 years later. And I think, arguably, maybe 2011 was the peak of the PC reign. And from there, I think tablets are taking over. And so this is a monumental shift going on right now. And just as the PC had changed the way software was developed and how we approach the computer and how we use the computer and what it did for us, the same thing is happening again with a tablet device, with touchscreen. And it's going to touch even more people because of the affordability. So my expectation is that we're right at a huge inflection point for us. And And don't be fooled. Even if in your business it looks like it's calm out over the oceans, there's a tsunami out there. So be ready for it. So let me share with you, looks like this may be a little bit off the screen, 2013. So this is Rakuten's, our mobile tablet forecast from Japan. We call it our Ichiba, our marketplace. Growing to 42% of our overall business. This is a remarkable number. So a little bit of history from our phone perspective. So GMS on phones has increased 674 times since 2001. So massive growth. And just in 2012, our smartphone GMS went up 300%. And needless to say, our feature phone business is way down. So feature phones are quickly, for any of those that were thinking they wanted to do commerce on feature phones, I would not recommend it at this point. So you've seen the data. Now what? Of course, investing in mobile is the right answer, in my opinion. But the question is how? Should we do it as a native app investment or continue to build out our native app investment that exists, because many of you probably already have an existing investment in mobile. So do we invest there? Do we invest in HTML5 and a web app? Do we invest in responsive design, a design approach that will allow your development work to scale over different sizes of media, from a PC to a tablet to a smartphone? Or do you just optimize your current web presence and make it more suitable to mobile? So there's a lot of questions about this, and I won't try to answer and dictate, the right direction. But I do think it's important to realize that there is a very strong trend towards HTML5 apps that is building. And so HTML5 apps are really rivaling and have joined the native apps as a very effective way to do things. And there's quite a number of examples, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, who have all gone down this route, including Rakuten. But the rule of thumb is how do you decide? The rule of thumb, number one, is the best experience will always win. Look at Apple. Figure out your experience first and leave the how question. The how meaning whether it's HTML or app or an optimized website. Leave that to the secondary question, but figure out what is the best design that's going to meet your customers' requirements. And build. We sometimes make the mistake of allowing technology to lead the innovation or design. So try to avoid that. On build options, there have been a lot of debate around the question of responsive design, as I'd mentioned. No one has yet agreed on this, but it would be great if we could program one design and have it scale across multi-platforms. It's worth remembering that if you take that approach, the more complicated your design is, the more difficult it will be to enable it to scale across so many different platforms. So if you have a simple design, simple requirement, you'll probably be successful and be able to leverage the benefits. But ultimately, your definitive question should be, can I have the best design and the best experience using this platform or technology? So I have some data to show you about this. There's other considerations too, of course. There's security and speed and performance and other things, but I won't go much into that at this point. So we run a very, very large marketplace over in Japan. And we we've been looking at this for quite some time. So going back to Rakuten and this, let me share a little bit more from our experience. And also, I want to mention something too that has just come up regarding Google and search traffic. Google has recently reminded us that smartphone misconfigurations are going to cost us in terms of traffic. So if we have faulty redirects and unplayable video and flash, or we're mistreating the Google mobile bot, or page load times are not good, it will end up costing us. So in our Japanese Ichiba, 96% of our merchants have upgraded to our new platform. And as part of that upgrade, there's better handling for our mobile experience. So we've seen a 4x increase in terms of performance and GMS on those sites. And to the degree that merchants have invested in improving more of those sites, there's various parts that they can use to build them, the result has been even better. So this is an example of one of our merchants in Japan, Monday Moon, before and after they upgraded to the improved mobile experience, smartphone experience. Conversion rate jumped 3 percentage points, orders 41%, and sales 78%. Waku Waku Land, similar situation, 1.5% increase, orders 40% up in sales. So pretty impressive results so far. So what does all this mean? It is imperative that as part of your strategy investment in mobile, that you have an optimized site and an optimized design. It's imperative for referral traffic and search traffic. It's imperative for your conversion rate, whatever you're measuring in terms of conversion, and it's imperative for your to maximize the experience. So let's move on to the next segment. So I want to spend a little time here discussing what I consider to be the wrong and the right way to build a mobile experience. So the wrong way. Let's start there. So the wrong way. Lots of projects are done today where the company or individual decides on what to launch. They decide they want to launch something or build something. They spend time working on a potential design or user interface, and then they look back to confirm the investment from the board or from senior management. And ultimately, this is a project which has direct ROI back to the CEO. So this is the traditional kind of more waterfall approach to development, where you have an idea, somebody in the organization births an idea, they do some research on it, and then engage a group to start looking at what the costs are going to be to build that, and developing an ROI, and you present that, and then you go to work and you start building, and you build to that specification. And sometimes when you do this, you end up with a fabulous result, and everybody's happy. And then other times when you do this, you end up with a terrible result, and there's finger pointing going back and forth, and it doesn't help anybody. So we have to approach this a little bit differently. So let me suggest this way. The right way, instead of funding a set dollar amount with ROI, form a team and set a burn rate on that team. Invest in a team with a set burn rate. And once you have this, you can work out the number of months you need the project to run. So you estimate, how long am I going to have to fund this team? And fund the project based on that projection on a monthly basis for as long as you see ongoing progress in the software and app you're developing. In other words, get out there quickly with some changes, fund this team, and let them iterate. When I first started using Facebook, it was back in 2006. And it was primitive in design and reach, and it had no scalability. I did not like it. And now you can see that they've got over 1 billion users. The company has had to constantly evolve. Only last year it received major criticism from the world's media on its mobile strategy, which affected its share price. So software is not born perfect. It's like a child. It requires a lot of investment and a lot of iteration and a lot of guidance from an individual who has a lot of vision about where that software can evolve. So think of your investment as an ongoing, iterative investment of improvement, okay? So how do you do this? Invest in the team. So selecting the right team is critical. You need to have someone leading the project with an absolute vision of where the project is going. The person will set the parameters of the design, the core features, the UI, etc. But they're also going to set the business objective and the business value. So that person that has the vision has to be connected to a delivery manager. So think of your organizations and think of one of your best technologists who can conceptualize how to build that vision and put those two guys together, or gals, or whatever gender they might be, together. And then you need a strong project manager in the mix to keep things orderly, okay? So be careful about making the mistake of allowing the project manager to run the project. And I think of this, I've got 4 kids and I've raised 4 kids. 2 are in college and 2 are on their way into college. And I think I've done okay from a parent standpoint, but handing a project over to the project manager is like handing, raising your children to a babysitter. So the person who has the vision needs to run the project, and the project manager is there to help keep it orderly. And understanding those roles will add to the success. Okay, so finally, you've got this team working, you've got resources on it and so forth. You need somebody who's going to track not the features, okay? Because so often we spend time in a project like this tracking features. I want to have this feature, I want to have that feature. And not the business value. Business value of the project team should be #1 priority. And the reason for this is really simple, is that you can deliver features in a project and have a disaster for a result. Okay? You can deliver the specified features and it can be really poor outcome. So that shouldn't be your #1 priority. The #1 priority should be business value and establishing how you measure that business value, whether it's in conversion rate, traffic, time on the site, adoption, and so forth. And then have that team work to iterate on that, on producing that value. So there's a few companies that have got this right. Of course, Apple is right up there. They're unrelenting in their continual releases. And Google Apps, all of you who have used Gmail have witnessed over the last several years just an unrelenting improvement of that service, right? Sometimes to our chagrin because we don't want to change, but constant improvement. And of course, as I'd mentioned, if Facebook stayed stagnant in their 2006 version, they'd never be where they are today. So software has to be funded in a way that allows the team to evolve it. And that is the main point of the right approach to doing this, and it's much more conducive to success. So I am out of time exactly. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I hope some of this will add to the discussion and the body of knowledge around your interest in mobile. So thank you very much.